Tonight, a prominent conservative political activist shot dead in broad daylight. The shocking, gruesome scene at a Utah campus.
You just hear the gunshot and I'm sorry.
I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination.
And what's next in the manhunt for the killer? A parent's worst nightmare.
I'm sad to announce that a 1.5-year-old boy has since been pronounced deceased.
What we know about the driver who struck an Ontario daycare. And an old prank turns violent.
It was not ding dong or knock knock knock.
Why it's not just a joke anymore.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news. A person of interest who was in custody has been released, the FBI is saying late tonight, after a fatal shooting that killed a highly influential conservative activist, once again exposing the dark side of America's deep and divisive political fault lines.
I watched a fountain of blood come out of the side of his neck like a water fountain.
Students seen fleeing in the frantic aftermath at Utah Valley University, where Charlie Kirk, the 31-year-old father of two, was speaking. A close ally of Donald Trump, he was known for championing right-wing causes in fiery clashes that were then shared on social media, resonating with young conservatives. Trump posting this message tonight.
An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come.
Some of what you're about to see may be disturbing. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbin starts us off.
It was an open-air event, a debate on a Utah college campus. Witnesses say Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist, was asked about mass shootings when he was fatally shot in the neck.
Oh, my God. Go, run, run. Whoa.
Panic and chaos in the crowd as students ran for cover.
You just hear the gunshot and I'm sorry. You just see his neck just open up and there's just so much blood that just came out. It was horrible.
Police believe the shot was fired from a higher location about 200 yards away. This, says the governor, was a targeted killing.
It's a tragic day for our nation. And I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination.
Kirk was a massive figure in the MAGA movement, sometimes called the Trump Whisperer, leading an army of young conservatives key to Donald Trump's election success. He was even given a prime speaking spot at the Republican convention.
Good evening. I'm Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA.
Radio host, podcaster, the voice of young conservatives, he was controversial and said he was no stranger to death threats. Tackling subjects like transgender rights, questioning vaccines, promoting Christian values, Kirk had the ear of President Trump on down.
He's done something that is just incredible for somebody really of his age.
Tonight, the president lashed out at political violence while praising Kirk.
I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law. Charlie was the best of America.
A husband, a father, the president ordered flags lowered for Charlie Kirk as another act of political violence as politicians from both sides of the aisle demanding America do better.
Our nation is broken. Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken.
And tonight, Omar, after this latest shocking act of political violence, this is a country in mourning. The question now is, will it lead to a national period of soul-searching or fan the flames of political discord? Omar?
Joy Malbin in Washington tonight. Joy, thanks. And tonight, the Prime Minister posted this on X. I'm appalled by the murder of Charlie Kirk. There's no justification for political violence, and every act of it threatens democracy. To a developing story in this country, a devastating tragedy north of Toronto today, where a 1.5-year-old boy has died after an SUV drove into a daycare. 6 other children and 3 adult staff members were injured when the vehicle struck 2 rooms this afternoon in Richmond Hill. Police say the driver was a male in his 70s and was arrested at the scene. CTV's Siobhan Morris joins us now from the scene. And Siobhan, just such a heartbreaking loss there.
Omar, there was a gasp as people who gathered on the sidewalk learned for the first time that a little boy, just 1.5 years old, was killed when an SUV drove deep inside his daycare. The damage, hard to comprehend looking at it. There was devastation across the neighborhood as word spread.
Wow, that's heartbreaking.
Well, I never thought this would happen to my neighborhood. It's a very quiet neighborhood here. Never seen any crimes or anything, but I guess this is just an accident.
Police have not used that word, accident, but they say they don't have a reason to believe the driver plowed through this daycare window on purpose. He is under arrest, no charges yet. The mayor of Richmond Hill says the call he got about this crash is the worst he's ever received.
Your heart stops when you hear things like this. I mean, it's just an unimaginable situation.
Tonight, the glass is being replaced at the daycare, but it's clear that the hurt from this day will linger for a very long time. Omar.
Siobhan Morris tonight on that tragedy in Richmond Hill. A teen has been arrested in connection with the killing of an 8-year-old boy who was struck and killed by a stray bullet while sleeping in his Toronto home last month. The 16-year-old suspect was charged with first-degree murder. Jave Roy's mom previously told CTV News that she was lying beside her son in bed before he was fatally hit. 2 other teenage suspects connected to the shooting remain at large. Today, this was her message to them.
You will never find peace. Turn yourself in. Turn yourself in.
A BC judge has ruled the suspect in Vancouver's Lapu Lapu Festival attack is fit to stand trial. Kaiji Adam Lowe was charged with 11 counts of second-degree murder and is now facing 31 additional counts of attempted murder. He's being held without bail at a secure mental health facility. Lowe is accused of intentionally driving a vehicle through a crowd at the Filipino festival, killing 11 people and injuring dozens in April. And a major escalation in Russia's war in Ukraine has that region on edge tonight after Poland says it downed multiple Russian drones that crossed into its airspace. CTV's senior political correspondent Michael Couture with what the Kremlin is saying and how the international community is responding.
Residents of an eastern Poland village describe hearing the roar of a plane falling from the sky, and then a massive boom shook their home. The house was destroyed, he said. The remnants of a suspected Russian drone remain in his yard as Polish authorities search several other sites where drones were found. Moscow claims there were no plans to target Poland. Many of them were shot down with the help of NATO allies, and talks between member countries were quickly called under an Article 4 consultation.
Ale to oczywiście też zmienia sytuację.
Prime Minister Donald Tusk said his country is the closest it has been to open conflict since the Second World War. In a post on social media, U.S. President Donald Trump said, "What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go." After a NATO meeting, the Secretary General said a full assessment of the incident is ongoing.
Allies expressed solidarity with Poland and denounced Russia's reckless behavior.
While rallying support for Poland in the European Parliament, Ursula von der Leyen told lawmakers the EU is now working on a 19th package of sanctions against Russia.
We're particularly looking at phasing out Russian fossil fuels faster. We're looking at the shadow fleet and at third countries.
Russia's defense ministry says it had not targeted Poland, but Prime Minister Tusk says there were 19 breaches of Polish airspace. And Canada's defense minister is casting doubt on the Kremlin's explanation.
I don't think we can take a lot of what comes from Russia right now at face value.
McGuinty wouldn't say if Canada will deploy more resources to the region, but Germany's foreign minister said NATO stands united and there must be a response to Russia's actions. Omar.
All right, Mike, thanks. And a little later, we'll bring you the story of a New Brunswick man who died fighting in Ukraine and his family's battle to bring his body home. In other news, Canada today said it is reviewing its ties to Israel after the strike inside Qatar.
We are evaluating the relationship with Israel. Of course, the attack yesterday on Qatar was one that was unacceptable.
Canada has joined a growing condemnation of the attack that Israel called a targeted strike that left 5 members of Hamas dead. The blackened building at the center of the blast site remained surrounded by security today. Qatar has been a key mediator in the Gaza ceasefire talks. Today, its prime minister said this.
The families, they are counting on this mediation. They have no other hope for that. And I think that what Netanyahu has done yesterday, he just killed any hope for those hostages.
Pro-Palestinian and pro-Israeli protesters gathered outside the screening of a controversial documentary at the Toronto International Film Festival today. Directed by a Canadian, it's about a retired Israeli general trying to save his family during the October 7th Hamas attacks. Here's CTV's Sean Leathong.
Protests outside Roy Thompson Hall for the world premiere of a documentary telling the story of one man's actions on October 7th, 2023. That man, former Israeli General Noam T-Bone.
And I'm going to use all my experience.
The film The Road Between Us tells the story of how T-Bone got a phone call from his son on the morning of October 7th saying they were under attack.
It was a shock at the beginning, but immediately I felt that I need to take an action and to do whatever I can in order to save my family.
T-Bone was in Tel Aviv while his son was in a kibbutz in Gaza 85 kilometers away. The film telling the story of what the retired general did that day to reunite with his son and grandchildren, fighting through ambushes and saving more people along the way.
And I'm very proud that we didn't save only our family, but we saved everyone who we met.
The film was originally selected for TIFF before being delisted a few weeks ago and then put back in the lineup just before the festival. Canadian filmmaker Barry Average says the film should be seen before being judged.
I think you're going to see a selfless man who on that day, all he thought about was not failures and not, incredible circumstances, not politics. How do I get to my family in time and save them with a clock running in his head?
While the line to see the film stretched around the block, protesters at the corner of King and Simcoe called it a story that supports Israeli propaganda.
People that are a part of the Zionist propaganda machine have very crafty answers to describe what they're doing and why it's so noble and humanitarian, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the politics of the region at the time.
But Average says this film is not political, but rather building towards
an emotional moment of a family reuniting, and people are going to see that in the film, and they're going to relate to it. And that's what I asked them to do. Keep an open mind and make up your own mind about the film.
Sean Leathong, CTV News.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is rallying his caucus in the energy heartland of Edmonton ahead of the return of Parliament next week. The government is preparing to announce its major projects list tomorrow, and many, including Alberta's Premier, want to know what's going to make the cut. Here's CTV's Abigail Beeman.
Politics is like hockey. It doesn't build character, it reveals it.
More than a few hockey references as the Prime Minister addressed caucus about fall priorities in his hometown. Mark Carney referenced a budget with tough decisions. There are big questions about how he'll pay for big investments while spending less, and which Trudeau government commitments he'll keep.
This fall, we will release a new climate competitiveness strategy that focuses on results over objectives and investments over prohibitions. Third, we will remain relentlessly focused on bringing down costs for Canadians.
Carney said the first major projects list will be revealed Thursday.
I'm not going to comment on whether there's a pipeline on the list tomorrow or not.
Speaking ahead of her meeting with the Prime Minister, Alberta's Premier said she wouldn't be worried if an oil pipeline isn't on the initial list.
You have to understand the list is going to be an evergreening list. It's not, oh my gosh, this is it, nothing else can be added. And so we've got a little bit of work to do to be able to get to an environment where oil companies want to expand their production.
He put a pipeline executive, Don Farrell, in charge. He put the project in Calgary. That's raising expectations in the Alberta government.
What the Liberals need to do in order to actually allow major projects to move forward is repeal C-69, repeal C-48, lift the production cap.
Though there has already been a thaw of relations between Ottawa and Western Canada, strained in the Trudeau years.
I think there's been a shift. Certainly there's a hopefulness.
Carney's meeting with Smith lasted a little more than 45 minutes. A federal source described it to CTV as productive. The Premier's office is not commenting tonight. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Edmonton.
Alberta teachers have set a strike date of October 6th if a negotiated settlement isn't reached through bargaining.
Teachers are tired of Band-Aid fixes. Public education is in a crisis. Students are being shortchanged and our teachers are being pushed to the brink.
The timeline is meant to give families time to prepare if classrooms are closed. Negotiations on a new collective agreement stalled last week. Teachers want more support for growing class sizes and higher pay. The province has offered a 12% increase over 4 years. A popular old childhood prank has taken a violent new turn. Here's CTV's Geneviève Beauchemin on why it's no longer considered just fun and games.
The name of the game, Ding Dong Ditch, doesn't quite describe what are now at times frightening confrontations. Eve Duranceau is a well-known Quebec actress. She's struggling to shake off the fear that came knocking twice late in the evening last week.
It was not ding dong or knock 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 at all. It was something very violent, a big noise.
She thought it was a home invasion. It turned out to be teenagers hitting and kicking her door. In her pajamas, she opened.
One of the guys said, "Is it you?" And he said, "Yes, it's me, like F you," something like that. And he was filming.
It's a search for clicks and likes that has transformed this from a young children's prank into an intrusive gotcha moment to be posted online. We suggest that you stay inside your house, don't confront them, says Commander Jean-Sébastien Marcotte. In some extreme cases, confrontations have taken a dramatic turn. A Texas man is facing a murder charge after shooting an 11-year-old boy who ran his doorbell. Earlier this year, men from Saint-Sauveur, Quebec, ended up pleading guilty to a charge in connection with a case where a 15-year-old was found tied up in a garage. That's far different, of course, from how Duranceau reacted. She called police and says she's now speaking out so that neighbors speak to neighbors to help cool down this trend.
The teenagers are like, okay, we've got this woman, she's panicking, it's perfect for our video. I want my friends or everyone to know that not to do that.
Now, police say those on the other side of the doors should report incidents to police so they have a full understanding of the scope of the issue. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
Coming up.
We sacrifice our kid for that war, which is not even our war.
Why these Canadian parents say Ottawa should help bring back their son's body from Ukraine. Plus, what NASA calls the clearest sign yet of ancient life on Mars. A grieving New Brunswick father is sharing his son's sacrifice on the front lines of Ukraine. Here's CTV's Sarah Plowman on a family's fight to bring his body home.
Distance couldn't shelter this family from war. Patrick Mazerol first told his parents he was going to England for vacation, but went on to Ukraine to join the fight. Last week, Mazerol's father learned his son was killed on the front lines by a Russian drone.
It's tragic to lose a kid. It's awful to lose it this way.
Full of grief and stories about a 24-year-old who loved history and helping people. Years ago, he nearly joined Canada's military, but left before basic training finished.
You said he felt like he was helping Ukraine.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he knew what he was getting involved with. He thought he was ready.
Mark Mazerol last spoke with his son May 27th.
He said, "I soon I'm out of there, Dad." He said, "I'll make it back. I'll make it back. I'll make you proud."
He learned of his son's death through another soldier.
I want him back. We're past asking question of why, and I just want my son back here so we can bury him in the proper way.
But getting his body from the front lines is a major challenge. The family wants more support from the government.
We sacrifice our kid for that war, which is not even our war. But we feel not helpless, but we feel left on our own, and we're totally left on our own.
Global Affairs Canada says it's aware of unconfirmed reports that a Canadian may have died recently in Ukraine, but won't say anything more due to privacy. It doesn't keep a registry of how many Canadians are serving in Ukraine, but says since the war started, 25 Canadians have died. That's from all causes. We asked the Ukrainian military what's being done to retrieve Mazerol's body, but did not hear back before our deadline. Sarah Plowman, CTV News in Caracat, New Brunswick.
Still ahead, royal reunion. What we know about Prince Harry's first meeting with his father, King Charles, in nearly 2 years. NASA says it has found the clearest sign yet of ancient life on Mars. The new research is from a rock sample retrieved by one of NASA's rovers. Scientists believe these mudstones contain minerals linked to ancient Martian microbes. And back on Earth, a royal reunion. That's Prince Harry in the back seat arriving for a private tea at Clarence House, the London home of his father, King Charles. Their first meeting since February 2024. It reportedly lasted almost an hour and could signal a positive sign the two are working to repair their rift. Still ahead, how murals are sprucing up the streets and moods of people in Halifax. There's something special happening in parts of Halifax this week. Vibrant new art displays are lighting up the streets, breathing new life into some of the dark sides of the city. Here's CTV's Paul Hollingsworth.
With summer winding down and a dreary winter not far off,
I'm working on a 128-foot mural.
There is a team effort underway to brighten and beautify this area.
To make the small city that we have come alive.
Mural Jam is a showcase of paint and vibrant colors, with murals popping up on most street corners in downtown Dartmouth.
A bunch of artists come into town, sprucing up some walls, making the town look a bit more beautiful.
Some of the murals are massive, looming large, stunning works of art. Others are designed to brighten up driveways and alleys.
I think it's uplifting. People really seem to like it. I think it can take kind of desolate, forgot about areas and kind of brighten them and bring them as a space where you don't feel uncomfortable to go anymore.
This paint is also heavy duty and made to last. These murals should survive the rough weather and be around for years to come. Welcome news for people who live in this historic community known for its narrow streets and older buildings.
I love it. We need more of it. We need a revitalization of the downtown, and it's happening.
When the artistic work is completed this weekend, these murals will be on display as a finished product. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Beautiful. That's a snapshot of this Wednesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night, and see you tomorrow.